Welcome to a new episode of the CAP Podcast, Consumer Ammunition Tactics Podcast. I got a special guest today, Shanita Hester. I'm going to read her bio. We're going to get straight to it. So meet Shanita Hester, a real estate investor specializing in tax deed and tax lien sales. I don't know nothing about that, so you're going to, teach us. Nita has always had interest in the real estate industry since a young age. While she was in college, she worked as a life insurance agent. Okay. Immediately after graduating college, she began her journey in new construction and having a rental property. Once reintroduced to the tax sales, she was determined to explore the ins and outs of this overlooked lane in the industry. Now she's ready to share her secrets that's helped her win at auctions and do so without using her own money. That sounds like credit. Welcome to the podcast, Nita. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing all right. Thank you
I'm
for having
blessed. I'm
me
blessed. Most definitely,
on.
I'm blessed. Big Nita in the building. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, just to start off the podcast, so that people know?
Well, I've been in real estate for about 5, 6 years.
Okay.
I started into the tax sales. I've been going to tax sales for a few years. I was introduced into them when I was younger. When I was a teenager, my family had been going to tax sales, and um, was made me so passionate about it is that my family lost our childhood home in a
Oh,
tax sale, in a tax auction. So it became really personal for me to learn, why that happened, how we could recover it. And from there, I just learned everything about the tax sales that I could, the tax deeds, the liens, the surplus funds, and, you know, everything surrounding it. So
okay.
that's and
Okay. Cool. So let us know like how you grew up. Were you in Atlanta? Were you in Ohio? Like where'd you actually grow up? Like let's get the whole story from the beginning.
Okay, so I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, and I
Right.
spent my summers in Atlanta. So I'm somewhat of a hybrid, but as far as real estate, I spent most of my time in the Cleveland market. Um, when I was younger, the tax sales, if you don't know what a tax sale is, basically when a homeowner is delinquent on their property taxes, the county puts a lien on it, on their property, and they'll sell the lien to the highest bidder. And the highest bidder will receive a tax lien certificate. They don't own the property, but they own the highest lien on the property. So that's like
Gotcha.
a tax lien certificate sale. But a tax deed sale goes into where they actually sell the property itself, where the
Okay.
opening bid begins at the amount owed. So when I was younger, houses were selling for $200, full blown single family homes, duplexes, commercial property was starting at $1,000. And I was somewhat of a tomboy. I used to do cleanouts with with the guys. So I
Yeah.
was always around in the real estate realm. So when I got older, I say the houses were going for about $500. And yeah, my first piece of land was $300.
Oh wow. That's when was that?
That was about 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. So no, wait, okay. So you said you've been in the game for like 5, 6 years?
Yes. So I
Okay.
so yeah, so I've done other real estate that isn't tax sales. Doesn't have to do with tax sales. So rental
Gotcha.
and construction. So rehabs and all that. That's not new. That's not doesn't have anything to do with tax sales.
Okay, got you. So you said what got you into it was something happened to your childhood home? Like y'all were delinquent?
Yeah, so I wanna say 2020. Um, the house that I grew up in from when I was younger, my
Yeah.
parents were delinquent on the property taxes. And so we were being notified, hey, it's going up for auction. And the notices were coming. I mean, by this time I was living in Georgia full time, but going home to visit, I see this notices no one was paying attention to. So um it was it was close to $30,000.
Okay.
So they give you an option to be able to pull it from the sale if you can come up with all the money the day before the sale. But for a lot of people, that's unrealistic. So it sold at the auction for about $25,000 more than what was owed. And then I was introduced to the surplus funds, which, you know anything about that?
I personally do, but I want you to explain for the podcast listeners. I'm not too tapped into it. I just know that it's when you're owed excess money. And I know people call people to be, oh, you're owed money. And, they kind of do like a middleman thing to get them the funds, but you could probably do a better job explaining.
Well, it's that simple. So surplus funds are basically what's owed, the difference between what's owed and what was paid. So technically, if you only owe the county $30,000, if your property sells for more than that, then whatever is excess in the amount you're owed is owed to you, but they don't notify you of that. A
Yeah,
lot of people don't know. So
exactly.
a lot of counties have it where sometimes after a certain amount of time, you don't have access to that money anymore. It just goes to
Hmm.
the county fund and you just lose out on it. So yeah, people call around. It's not hard to find the property owners and put all the information together to reach out to people and let them know, hey, there's money out here for you and I can help you get that. So
Hmm.
a lot of people do that.
Wait, so how did you know you were owed? Like, how'd your family know y'all was owed money?
You know, I was actually contacted by a lawyer.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was contacted by a lot of people that were claiming that they could help, but it just seemed like, scamish. It seemed very
Yeah,
fraudulent.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
actually had to dig. I dug out for a while and realized that it was some truth to it, but I still had assistance. So I went on and let someone get the surplus funds for us, but I assisted my parents in that process. So
Okay.
they were
So
able to,
y'all,
yeah, they got back about 18,000 of that 25 that was owed to them.
okay, they got that 18,000 and y'all going to Magic City and then now I'm playing. Okay, so y'all got the bag and then now what? You're just like, okay, now let me tap into these surplus funds, these tax deeds. Like how did it actually come about?
So after that, the tax sales were online. So when I was younger, the tax sales
Gotcha.
they were in person. They were down at the courthouse, they were annual, but since COVID, a lot of sales went online because they're able to generate more money, because you can bid from wherever. You don't have to be in person.
Yeah.
So from there, I actually bought a house in the same area that I grew up in, and I used credit to renovate it. And then I gifted it to my mother.
Mm,
So, I kind of took that whole thing and, you know, made the best out of it. I went on the tax sales and I looked week after week after week and I found a house that I thought would be good. And
mhm.
got that renovated and my parents live there now.
Nice. Congratulations. That's dope.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So one big thing you said there is credit. I know the people listening are big on credit, consumer laws, all that. It might be someone that's listening. Maybe she's a young black girl as well. She's just like, okay, I don't know what to do. I'm working this 9 to 5. I'm tired of all that. So let's say she gets her credit right. She's ready to leverage and get in the game. Do you teach people how to get into this? Like, can you talk about it?
Yes. So basically, yeah. So what I did was I used my credit. So I used my credit to acquire properties, and then I use my credit to renovate so that I can
Mm,
maximize profits on the back end. That first property that I got from my mom, I did not use credit to purchase, but I used credit to renovate, and I used about 65,000 in business credit only
mm,
to renovate throughout the entire process. I mean, from drywall to hardwood floors, carpet, labor, everything. And I was able, because it's out of state for me, I had to fly back and forth, and I was able to use the reward points that I gained on my business credit cards to fly
mhm,
for free and
mm.
get upgrades. So, um, yeah, it's just a simple process. If you don't have credit, but if you don't have credit cards, I'm sorry, but you have decent credit and you're able to get funded for on a personal or business side, we prefer business because
Yeah.
you get so many options for 0% interest and you don't have to over leverage yourself. like you would on your personal side, then you can liquidate those cards through methods like manufacturer spending or PayPal to pull the money off the card and go ahead and purchase what you need at the tax sale, because tax sales require certified funds. They want cash, cashier's checks, all certified funds. You cannot use a credit card directly. So, getting creative, you're able to use other people's money to acquire the assets we need to get going.
Most definitely, most definitely. So I'm sure some people might want to get started. What would you say is probably the number one thing? Like, let's say their credit is ready, they got the money and everything. What should they do? Like, when you go onto the website, what's a mindset when I'm going into like bidding and things like that?
So the mindset, the first thing is you should already know how much you're planning to spend. Don't overspend. Um, Being on the tax sales, the auctions, they can get pretty emotional. If you're in
Okay.
person, it's
Yeah.
easy to see other people and go back and forth. But if you're online, it's just a screen. The timer's there and it keeps restarting every time someone else places a bid. So you don't know if you're battling against a computer or how much money the next person has to spend. But you use your credit. If you have decent credit, I would go apply for business credit. If you have a business, and set aside a certain amount of credit that you want to use and figure out what market you want to go in. So although I live in Georgia, I focus in the Cleveland market because it's cheaper up there. The cost of real estate is cheaper up north than it is down south. So, and plus I like the process. I've mastered the entire process at the tax auction in Cleveland. So it
Okay.
works.
Okay,
Mhm.
so in Cleveland. So Cleveland is a good area. Have you explored any other areas, or you just kind of stuck to Cleveland because that's what you know?
I stuck with Cleveland because they have a process that's different than any other auctions that I've registered for and sat through
Okay.
or I've been to. And most auctions, they want you to pay same day or they want you to pay very early the next day, even if you're bidding online. And without being able to use a credit card, if you have to send certified funds next day, like you need a resource or a way to get that money to them immediately. Sometimes a wire may or may not be fast enough. But the process in Cleveland, they just take your deposit. They take your deposit and then you get so much time to pay off the balance. And that's what makes them
Oh, wow.
stand out. So
Okay, that's a bar there for anyone that wants to get started. So, what's like a good amount you think for someone that's just getting started? Like, should they want it come in wanting to spend 100 bands? Should they come in less, more?
no.
Uh,
It depends what you want to do. If you are interested in holding on to your property, like rental, if you're interested in doing some sort of group home and doing extreme renovations, or if you just
mhm.
want to purchase and flip without doing anything to it, all three of those things require different amounts of reserve set aside or credit set aside. So I'd say somewhere around the 15 to 25,000 range.
For which one in particular? Is that like a universal answer or for which
No,
method?
for tax deeds in the areas in the Cleveland area, just to be on the safe
Okay.
side. We find some
Okay.
a lot less than that, depending on what you're looking for. And
Gotcha.
that's kind of my rule of thumb for the Cleveland area. Of course, the suburbs are a lot more expensive. Um, it's just whatever you're interested in.
Okay. So, based off of your experience, do you do flips? Are you holding? Like, what does your situation look like?
So right now I'm building a rental portfolio. So I
Okay.
have a couple properties right now that are being cleaned out and I'm going to hold on to them. I've found a lender that'll once they're once they're renovated, I'll be able to flip them or refinance out of basically get the money back that I paid for
Hmm.
and that I spent on renovations. And I can flip that into a 30-year mortgage using the DSCR loans.
Okay. What is that?
Okay. You
What's up?
haven't? The DSCR loan is basically a loan that is based solely on the income that the property will produce. So it's
Mhm.
not heavily based on your credit or your experience. It's based on the
Gotcha.
asset itself.
Okay, got you. Got you. So you were a life insurance agent. You're still certified, I'm assuming.
Say it again.
You were a life insurance agent.
Yes.
Okay, you're still certified, I'm assuming, right? Are you
Oh,
still
yes.
doing that, or okay, okay. So
Yes.
what got you into that?
So I'm extremely passionate about life insurance because in our community, well, yeah, in our community, people just don't value it the way that they should.
Yeah,
Um, Life insurance is just one of those things that everyone needs. You can build wealth using life insurance, and I think people haven't taken the time to see exactly how important it is. So everyone's used to using the GoFundMe's when people, have accidents or
yeah.
meet their expiration date. And for whatever reason, that's become the standard to pay for funeral expenses.
Mm.
But life insurance is so much more than just funeral expenses and money for your family for you not to be a burden. You can use, well, most life insurance policies that are whole life have another account associated with them called the cash value account. And you can borrow from this account without the use of credit or any type of restrictions. It's your money. If you have it there, you can borrow from it without explaining to anyone what you need the money for. And it's yours, it's in your policy. But even if you don't do that, there's tons of policies where you can have coverage for maybe $20 or $30 a month. And I
Yeah,
just think it's just really important for everyone to have that.
most definitely. So yeah, so then when did you get certified?
20 2020. I did.
Oh, so you've been doing it.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what's up. Do you still actively do it, or is you're more focused
I,
on real
I
estate?
do still actively, yes. Once you kind
Oh
of
no.
know something, the calls don't stop coming. So
Okay, got you. Okay, so what I want to ask you next, how do we meet? Just for the people. I just want the people, the people want to know how we met.
me and Michael met
Why are you laughing?
me and Michael met, what year was that? 21 or 2021? Me and Michael met a couple years ago
I think
at
2021.
business 21, okay, at a business conference in Miami. And we oh boy, we met before the plane, right?
We met before the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways, me and Michael met at a business conference and we were flown out to Miami and flown back to Atlanta.
Whoa, pause, man. I ain't getting flued out. Pause.
You got flued out. You
No,
got
I
flew.
didn't.
Yes, you did.
All
So
right, continue.
Michael got flued out and he met me in Miami. But anyways, it was we were sitting next to each other on the plane and Michael was being mad weird, y'all. He was so quiet. He wouldn't speak to me.
Yeah, you capping.
But
Okay.
no, I'm not. He wouldn't speak to me, but I don't know how, but somehow after that we became friends. And it seems like every conference I went to after that, he was there. We just kept running to each other and we just built this great friendship over these years. And that's how we met a few years back on business.
And so, some of that is cap. I'm gonna tell the real story on a solo episode, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna let you get off what you said. Okay, so what brought you to Atlanta? Because you're in Atlanta and Ohio. You have family out there, or like what brought you to Atlanta?
Yeah, I have family in Atlanta. So I grew up my summers in Atlanta. And
Oh,
yeah, so when I graduated high school, I knew that I wanted to move away and go to school out of state. Just for a better opportunity.
gotcha. You don't like Cleveland? You don't like the people in Cleveland, or what's going on?
Cleveland, Cleveland is home, but I just knew I wanted to move away when I was younger.
And it
It
could
can,
be anywhere. It wasn't necessarily about. It was just because
yeah,
you had Atlanta.
yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
just was familiar with Atlanta, but it's good for everyone. Move away from home if you have the opportunity to, you know.
definitely.
Yeah.
But should they move to Atlanta specifically?
You can. It depends what you want to get into. Atlanta has got a lot of thriving industries going right now. Real estate, entertainment. Depends what you want to do. Hair industry is booming down here.
Mhm.
It was good for me.
Okay, yeah. So Atlanta. So a lot of people, get into it out there. Business, entertainment, Magic City. Just a lot going on out there. So as far as like Atlanta, do you plan on staying out there? Like what you're out there for like business? You've met people a lot of network. Like what can you say about Atlanta?
Yeah, so Atlanta is home. Atlanta's going to be home for a while for me.
Hmm.
I say because of real estate and network. So a lot of people that are very close to me now, I've met here in the city. Well, I'm not actually in Atlanta, but I'm outside of Atlanta. But here in Georgia, I've met a lot of people, um, that mean a lot to me. And as far as business, all of my friends are business owners. Everyone I've met in Atlanta seem to be good people.
Okay, that's what's up. So you said all of your people are business owners. I'm big on environment, and I'm always talking about on a podcast, just having a business mindset. Do you work a 9 to 5?
No,
Okay. How do you feel about people that, work, I guess, a 9 to 5?
I don't think it's anything wrong with that.
Okay.
We a lot of people started with a 9 to 5. I recently it might have been we're just coming up on a year since I let go of my job. So,
Oh, okay, dope.
a lot of
Same.
people that are entrepreneurs still hold on to a job. So it's not
Yeah,
feel any way about it. Do what you got to do to get where you're going.
definitely, definitely. Okay, back to these taxes. So when did you win your first auction?
2021.
OG, you got
Hmm.
the sauce. Okay, so you won your first auction back then. Can you tell us maybe just some struggles you've had over time, just so the people know what to watch out for?
Ooh, it's plenty of struggle. So a main struggle that I've had is doing due diligence. So doing research on the actual properties. So when you're on the auction, they tell you the address, but the address may not be the right address. So you have to be aware of everything. You have to triple check all the information,
Yeah.
and you have to search all the properties by their parcel number.
Mhm.
No matter if you're in Ohio, if you're in Florida, Alabama, whatever state you're in, whatever county you are in, you have to search by the parcel number. That's the most important part. So if you don't do that, you may come across a parcel number that's associated with two addresses,
Mhm.
or two addresses that address that stretches across 4 or 5 parcels. And you think you're bidding on this house over here, but you're actually bidding on this piece of land with nothing on it. And that
Yeah.
can ruin your perception of what you think you're paying for.
Mhm.
Um, that was a struggle early on, and having boots on the ground, having someone if you're bidding out of town, having someone that can go to the actual location to make sure there's an actual structure there. That's very important because Google sometimes Google has images from 10 years ago
Mhm.
when the
Mhm.
big beautiful house, but that house might have burnt up 5 years ago. It's nothing there today. And if
Yeah.
you don't have secondary resources to ensure you know what you're bidding on, do all your due diligence, it can be very costly.
So the main thing to watch out for people that's just getting started, make sure you do your due diligence. make sure I'm big on mentorship. Did you have a mentor going into this, or did you learn through experience? How was your
Um,
situation?
I really learned through experience. Like I
Oh well.
said, after my parents, after that situation with my childhood home, I
Hmm.
um I did a lot of research. I did a
Hmm.
lot of research. I've taken some courses here and there, and read a lot of books about it. And then I read the code on the county that I was interested in just to get more clarification on what to expect. So after that and sitting in on a couple auctions, I was ready, you know. That's the only way you're gonna learn. Sometimes you can learn from other people's experiences, but sometimes you just gotta jump on in after that. It's only so much you can learn from behind the screen.
Mm. Talk to him. So, can we get some of those books? Some people might want to look into the books that you said you read, as far as this whole thing.
Well, the first book you can get is mine, Tax Sale Tell
Almost
All:
definitely.
Secrets to
Okay.
Getting Your First Property on Credit, which will basically walk you through the process of whether you're wanting to bid on a tax lien certificate or if you
Hmm.
want to do a tax deed auction. The differences between the two, I've got plenty of resources and different auctions where you can bid.
Hmm.
Um, I've got a map in there to tell you the different percentages for all the different states and what type of return comes on their tax lien certificates. Um, and then a few different ways for you to liquidate your credit card and build your business. So that's
How
the
could I
first.
get that?
You can get that book, and I'll send you the link so you can attach it to this.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description below.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, so you'll get me that. What's you're about to say a different book as well?
Um,
We could just end at your book. We ain't gotta even, you know what
yeah,
I'm
we can
saying?
end at my book.
We ain't promoting no over there. Okay, so go get tax sale, tell all. Okay, so one thing I wanted to bring up. So I made a post on Instagram on my story,
Mhm.
and I basically reposted something. I was just curious about your opinion on it. The people want to know too. So I basically reposted something from Justin LeBoy's page, and he was basically saying that it's some women out there that like wouldn't cheat on someone, and I was agreeing with it. And some people were replying to my story as if they were surprised that I was agreeing with that, because for whatever reason, like I guess I think all women cheat or whatever. So, do you think all women cheat? What's up?
No, all women don't cheat.
Okay. So my next question, as far as do you believe that all men cheat, or just any men? Do you believe anybody cheats?
My God. Um, no, I don't believe all men cheat, and I don't believe all women cheat.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. The people were just curious, so I just had to go ahead and ask you that question real quick. So I know you got an event coming up. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I do have an event coming up. So it's Tax Sale Tell All Live. It's a
Hmm.
2-day training event that we're holding in Cleveland, Ohio. And day one, we're going to go over tax deeds, tax lien, surplus funds, business credit. I got a couple investors coming to share their experiences, and a couple lenders coming to help out with some exit strategies if you do acquire a tax deed property. And on day two, we're going to visit a couple properties that I'm working on right now, and a couple properties that haven't been started on, that are midway through. And um, I got a couple things up my sleeves for some properties that are like way overdone and fully furnished. So,
Okay.
and if you've never been to Cleveland, I've also got a Cleveland experience towards the end of the day. So it's going to be really exciting. That's June 24th and 25th.
June 24th and 25th. Okay. It's only in person, or are there virtual tickets?
That's in person. There may be a replay. So if you miss out and can't, you know, get to Cleveland around that time, then it's going to be recorded. So we'll have a replay of it coming up soon.
Okay, so how would they actually get that replay though? Would they just DM you, or?
Yeah, so it'll be in my link. It'll be in the first link in Instagram at Yes Nita, YeaItsNita, in the link below.
Okay. Okay, perfect. It's on the screen for anyone that you ain't hear her. It's definitely on the screen right there. Okay, so what's been working good so far for you? So like as far as the taxes. So let's say someone they're getting started, just to give them the confidence, like, okay, I should keep going as far as what I'm doing. What's something that's been working for you that they should be aware of?
Consistency. So you're
Okay.
probably not going to win anything at your first couple of auctions. Um,
Hmm.
you have to be consistent. So if you are serious about getting property, then if there's a monthly meeting, there's a monthly auction or a weekly auction, make sure that you've checked out everything on the list and continue to do so. So it probably took me about 4 months on a weekly auction before I was ready to bid on anything.
Oh,
And
wow.
even then I didn't win. So you're going to be outbid, and then be patient. Don't get emotional. You have to be secure with the amount of money you're willing to spend and not go over that.
Mm,
So, but really it's consistency, because if you start just once a month and you're not gonna feel good about losing. And it's not that you lose, it's just that someone else is willing to spend more money than you are. So
hmm.
I say just be consistent and intentional. If you really want to buy property, if you really want to get in, this is an entry level phase into real estate. So
Okay, consistency, patience. They do all that, they should be good, right?
yep, you should be good. And due diligence. That's the
Due
main thing.
diligence. Due
Mm-hmm.
diligence. Yeah, no, you definitely said that. Okay, due diligence. That's perfect. Definitely. All right, so what drives you as far as what you do? What motivates you?
Um, well, what motivates me is knowing that I am stepping into a role and being representation that I didn't have when I was younger. So real estate is heavily dominated by men, and even more so back 10 years ago.
Mm,
So now I feel that, I can be the face of this lane for me in my area. And some young girls will be able to look at me and say, well, she's doing it. She's from where I'm from, or, she's not so far out of reach and relatable. And
mm,
she looks like me. So
mm.
representation, that's what motivates me.
Okay, most definitely. So let's stick on that topic. So as far as you, obviously a black woman tapping into this space dominated by men, when you go into it, do you feel like not like I don't know if insecure is a word. Do you feel insecure or cautious as you're going about it? Is it like pressure to be like, oh, I gotta perform because these women are coming after me? Like, what does that feel like? I'm not a woman, so I just want to kind of get that perspective. I hope they know I'm not a woman. But yeah, go ahead, continue. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
So the only thing that I'm cautious about is making sure I'm doing everything with integrity. So
Okay, cool.
that's huge. Being a woman in a male dominated industry, you want to move with integrity, and knowing that there are women coming behind me. The way you pave the way is means everything. So if there are people
Mm,
coming behind me to do the same thing that I've done, I want to make sure that it's easier for them than
hmm.
it is. Mhm.
Okay, definitely. So integrity is important. You're in Atlanta. There's a lot of scamming out there, so I definitely love that you can remain yourself and keep the integrity. Okay, so I mean, what's next for Anita? Are you going to continue? Are you going to? I don't know if it's too early to ask. Are you planning on doing more 2-day trainings, or is it case by case?
Absolutely. So more
Oh, okay.
two-day trainings are on the way. As I continue to build, I'm gonna continue to pave the way. I definitely want to get some commercial properties. That's what I'm looking for next.
Hmm.
Um, looking to build. So I'm looking for land in Florida actually to build on. And I want to get that land from the tax sale and do new construction. So
Okay. Why
I am,
Florida?
well, Florida seems to be the only area that seems to be not affected by the real estate market. So every time the market goes down or everything happens, um, Florida is just still there, even though it gets flooded every year.
Mm,
Every year, thousands of people retire and move to Florida. So housing is always a big market down there,
mm,
and it just seems like a great investment.
mm. I know they don't got state income tax. I don't know if that also plays into it, but okay. You were saying something else as well, or
Um,
you were saying you want to tap into Florida, and then I was just curious. I said, why Florida? I was
well,
basically just asking what's next. What are the next big things that Big Nita gonna do?
so crazy. Um, um, more so more of the more of the 2-day trainings
Okay,
as I build my rental portfolio in Cleveland. Um, and then new construction. So that's those are the things I'm working on. So that's what's next. New construction. That's huge.
definitely. Big Nita, big things. So you're gonna do all that? Okay, so you got the tell it all. I forgot the ebook.
Tax sale, tell all.
Tax sale tell all, man. I was close. So tax sale tell all. Make sure y'all go and grab that. You're definitely gonna get more information. I learned a little bit a lot about these taxes and stuff. So there's gonna be more information in there. Is there an audiobook or any attachments to it? Anything else?
No, no.
Okay, so go y'all gonna have to read. I know some of y'all don't like to read, but you're gonna have to read, you know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all get that. Make sure y'all tap into the 2-day training. Is there like a certain question that people don't ask you that you wanna talk about? I usually like asking people that because I don't know how many interviews you be doing, but just kind of curious.
I'll say that there's not a question that people don't ask me, but the main question they do ask me is what is the major risk behind purchasing from the tax sales? And tax sales, when you win a house at the auction, you don't get a regular deed. You don't get a warranty deed. You get what's called a sheriff's deed or a tax sale deed.
Okay.
And those may or may not still have other liens attached to them. So generally, a tax sale should clear the liens that are associated with the property, whether they're mechanical, code violations, or mortgage liens, but a lot of times they don't. So that is a huge risk that can be associated with. That's why due diligence is huge, and that can be dependent on the county that you're bidding in. So
Hmm. Okay, so yeah, you just gotta do your due diligence. I didn't know what I was gonna title the episode. We might call it due diligence. Do your due diligence. You know what I'm saying? Because we gotta do our due diligence, patience, consistency. And I mean, it sounds like universal principles I've been hearing. I know you've been consistent with like the gym and stuff. Do you think like that resonates kind of with how you've been consistent in the tax stuff, or there's no correlation?
no, absolutely. There's a lot of correlation. So
Okay.
being just being healthy, but being in the gym, I pretty much go to the gym almost every day, at least 5 to 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps with routine. So I'm looking at auctions at least 2 to 3 times a week on a routine basis. So the gym is just one of those things you got to get out the way first thing in the morning, get you ready for your day.
What if
Nothing.
what if you go after like after work or something? How do you feel about those type of people? What if they're busy?
No, the gym comes before everything. 4 o'clock a.m., 5 o'clock a.m., 6 o'clock a.m., 8 o'clock at the latest. That's just how I operate.
So y'all, okay, okay, dope, dope, dope. Okay, can you tell the people where you can find you, Anita? We appreciate the sauce. Appreciate your experiences. Appreciate everything. Where can they
Yeah,
find you?
so you can find me on Instagram at Yes Nita, YAITSNITA. Same on TikTok. And you can find me on Facebook, Shanita Hester. And those three. You find everything you need to know about me from those three right there.
Okay, perfect. Is there one where you're on the most, or you're like
Yeah,
everywhere pretty much?
Instagram for sure. Every day. Catch me on live.
Okay. You know on YouTube?
Not on YouTube yet. I may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm
Maybe
sorry. You got the
soon by
2 day
the time.
training. You got the 2 day. You got to start walking people through all that day in the life, all that. But yeah, with that being said, y'all have a blessed one. Appreciate you. Appreciate your experience. Y'all have a blessed one.